Hilchos Beis Habechira in the booklets. It's page Lamed Zayin. It's a little further back in the booklets.
It's not the
Beis Habechira, the Hilchos Beis Habechira section.
Here.
After this. Here we are. Right here.
Thank you. And what are you broadcasting?
Yesh bechlal shesh mitzvahs. Shalosh mitzvahs aseh, v'shalosh mitzvahs lo yisaseh, v'zeu praton. In Hilchos Beis Habechira, there are 6 mitzvahs, 3 positive commandments and 3 negative commandments. V'zeu praton. These are the details, specific, enumerated. Number 1, Aleph, livnois Beis Hamikdash, the mitzvah aseh, to build the Beis Hamikdash. Livnois Beis Hamikdash. Number 2, Beis, there's a loisa says Shaloi Livnois Hamizbeach Gazis. You're not allowed to build the Mizbeach with stones that touched metal. You're not allowed to cut it with metal, you're not even allowed to touch it with metal. Shaloi Lalois Allah B'Malois is a loisa say that you're not allowed to ascend the Mizbeach with steps. It's about actually ascending. If a kohen is going to ascend the mizbeach with steps, that act of ascending the mizbeach, that's the loisa. Then you have dalid liyira min hamikdash, to fear the mikdash, to respect the Beis Hamikdash. We'll see the details about that later on. Hey lishamra isaviv, to guard the Beis Hamikdash around and around. And shaloi lahashbis shmiraseh, that there should never be a time where it is void of this protection. It's the asay and the leisa saying they go together, the shamroi and shalei lahashbis shmiraseh, that there should be the protection and you shouldn't be void of protection. Now really the main bulk of Hilchos Beis Habechira talks about the first mitzvah, livnois Beis Hamikdash, about the mitzvah say to build the Beis Hamikdash. In Hilchos Beis Habechira there are 8 prakim. The first 6 prakim really deal with the first mitzvah of livnois Beis Hamikdash, all of the details of the structure of the Beis Hamikdash and how it's built and all the kelim, etc. And that's really the main bulk. The next 2 mitzvahs of Shalei Livnois Hamizbeach Gazis and Shalei La'alais Allah B'Malais are discussed in the first Perek, very short, 1 or 2 halachas in the first Perek that discuss those 2 mitzvahs. And then the final 3 mitzvahs, to fear the mikdash, the respect to pay the respect that one is obligated to give to the Beis Hamikdash, and then the chiyuv of shmira, that is discussed in the final 2 prakim in Perek Zayin and in Perek Ches. Uveyer mitzvahs elu befrakim elu. Perek Rishon Halacha Aleph. Mitzvahs asay la'asais bayis la'Hashem. The Rambam starts off with the first mitzvah say that he discussed of the 6 mitzvahs. The mitzvah say to make a Beis Hamikdash, muchon liyos makrivin baya karbanos, that should be ready to be makriv to bring karbanos. Gechoygi in elav shalish ba'am mashana, 3 times a year we're obligated to bring karbanos in the Beis Hamikdash, to come to the Beis Hamikdash and to bring karbanos in the Beis Hamikdash. Shenamar, where in the Torah is this positive commandment? It's brought in the pasuk ve'asu li mikdash. Ukvar nisparish b'Torah mishkan she'asa Moshe Rabbeinu. The Torah tells us in detail about the mishkan that Moshe Rabbeinu built. V'haya lefisha, that was a temporary structure. Shenamar ki levasem ad ata v'goymer el hamenucha v'el hanachala. The pasuk continues that you didn't yet come to the final destination. This is only a temporary location. The Mishkan is only temporary.
It was never destroyed, though.
Yeah. Now, this is actually a machlokes between the Rambam and the Ramban. What is the main purpose of the Beis Hamikdash? The Rambam writes clearly over here that its main function is to be makriv karbanos. The Ramban, however, he writes in his Pirush al Torah on Parsha Shlach that the main purpose of the Beis Hamikdash is that there should be a house for Ashras HaShechina, where the Shechina should dwell. So obviously the Beis Hamikdash is both. It's a place where the Shechina dwells, and it's a place where we're makriv karbanos. But apparently there's a machlokes between the Rambam and the Ramban. What is the primary function of the Beis Hamikdash? It's very interesting. The Rebbe brings that there's another machlokes that we find between the Rambam and the Ramban. What is included in the mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash? Is it only the structure of the Beis HaMikdash, the actual building, the walls, or also the kelim, building the menorah, the shulchan, the mizbeach, etc.? Is that part of the mitzvah of building the mikdash? Or no, those are the kelim that we put into the mikdash. So we have actually machlekes about this. The Rambam is of the opinion that this is all part of the mitzvah. Sefer HaMitzvah, the Rambam writes clearly that part of the mitzvah is to build a mikdash with a menorah, with a shulchan, with a mizbeach, etc. The Ramban, however, clearly argues, and in his asagis on the Sefer HaMitzvah, he argues with the Rambam over there, and he says, no, making the kelim of the mikdash is not part of this mitzvah. So the Rebbe in his Sikha explains that it's really the shitasam. This machlekes that they have, what is the primary function of the mikdash, and the machlekes that they have, what is included in the mitzvah of building the mikdash, is totally zebazeh. The Rambam, which holds that the purpose of the mikdash is that there should be a home for karbanis, to do the avodah, to do the service in the mikdash. So then the klei mikdash is part of that. It's not just to have the building. We need to have the kelim to be able to do the service of the mikdash. So for sure the mizbeach and also the other kelim. But the Ramban, which he holds that the main function of the mikdash is a bayis for ashras, ashchina. So according to him, that's the bayis itself. The kelim, which is for the service, that's not part of the mitzvah of building the mikdash. Halacha beis. Keivan shenichnesu la'aretz, once they entered Eretz Yisrael, ha'amidu ha'mishkan ba'gilgol arba esrei shana. So as they were in the midbar for 40 years, so from place to place, they would take apart the Mishkan and re-erect it in the next location, and that's what they did for the 40 years in the midbar. Then when they entered Eretz Yisrael, so they took that Mishkan and they established it in Gilgal. That was the name of the location. And it was there for 14 years. Those 14 years, shekavshu v'shechalku. 7 years that it took them to conquer Eretz Yisrael, and then 7 years to divide Eretz Yisrael.
It was the same Mishkan?
Same Mishkan, yeah. During those 14 years, the Mishkan was established in Gilgal. Umisham, from there, ba'u the Shiloi. But when they came to Shiloi, they built a different type of structure. Uvanu sham bayis shel avanim, uparsu yediyos hamishkan alav, v'lehaisa sham tikra. So it was like a chatzi bayis, chatzi mishkan. On the one hand, the walls were made out of stone, like a bayis, not like a temporary mishkan, but more like a Beis HaMikdash. But on the other hand, on top, the roof was curtains like a mishkan. It wasn't a roof like a mikdash. So it was like a half-half. V'shin samich tes shana amad mishkan shiloi. It was there for 369 years. Uchshameis Eli Charav was destroyed. Uba'u l'Noiv, and then they came to Noiv. Ubanu Sham Mikdash. Uchshameis Shmuel Charav, that was destroyed. Uba'u l'Givai. Ubanu Sham Mikdash. There were two more locations after Shiloi.
Is that the same
Noiv
as Shiloh?
and Givai.
When we say the walls and the curtains on the top, or because there it doesn't say, it just says Bonushon Mikdash.
Right.
Mikdash.
Right. It seems like it was the same as it was in
I think it was the
Shiloi.
same.
Yeah. It was a mikdash. Yeah, mikdash sounds like it was not a mishkan. It was a mikdash made out of walls of stone.
Half Mishkan, half Mikdash.
Right. No, but it wasn't yet the full. Right.
Today it doesn't say what this is Mikdash.
Now it doesn't say how long it was in Noiv and Giva in each one individually, but when you made Noiv and Giva together, there was Sheva v'Chamishim Shana, 57 years.
When it was destroyed, the skins and everything were also destroyed. What does it mean, destroyed? Everything was destroyed, or something was destroyed? Kalim Estama were saved because they were used later in the mission.
Yeah,
that's right.
All destroyed. Yeah.
Right?
The exact details of what was destroyed, how it was destroyed, I don't know. Halacha Gimel. Kevan shenivna hamikdash b'Yerushalayim. Once the mikdash was built in Yerushalayim, Nesru kol hamekoymes kulon livnois bahen bayis laHashem ulahakriv bahen karbon. Came forbidden to build a bayis anywhere else and to be makriv a carbon anywhere else. Now we have the final location. This is the permanent location, and this is it. The ancient bayis l'doiri adoiris ela b'Yerushalayim b'lvad u'bahara me'riya. And the only place from now on for generations to come, where a bias can be, is in Yerushalayim, and in Yerushalayim Gufa, on Har HaMoriah, where the Beis HaMikdash was. Shaban Amar, Vayemer David, Zehu Beis Hashem Alekim, Zeh Mizbeach La'oila L'Yisrael. This is the place where there should be a Beis HaMikdash, and Vayemer Zeis Menuchas Yad Yad, this is the place forever, that there is no other location. Halacha Dalet. Regarding the exact details of the dimensions, etc., so Binyan Shabana Shloimeh Kvar Mefarish B'Malachim Bayis Rishon that Shloimeh HaMelech built. So in Malachim, it's discussed in detail over there the dimensions, etc., of what it looked like. V'chein also Binyan Ha'asad Hibanos Afa Pishu Kaslu B'Yecheskel Einen Mefurish U'Mevayer. The third Beis HaMikdash, even though it's discussed in Yecheskel, but it's not so clear. The Anshe Bayis Sheni, Kishabanu b'Mei Ezra, in Bayis Sheni, b'Mei Ezra, when they built the second Beis HaMikdash, Banu Kibinyan Shloimeh, primarily was built similar to Bayis Rishon, and some things they did similar to Bayis Shlishi. Me'ein Dvarim HaMefayrashim b'Yecheskel. So in general, it was like the Bayis Rishon, with specific things that they did similar to Bayis Shlishi, as it's explained in Yecheskel.
Do we know what they are?
It doesn't say.
We know what they are?
The Elu Hein Advarim Shein Ikar V'Binyan HaBayis. Then the Rambam tells us here, what are the main things that every Beis HaMikdash needs to have? Whether it's a Mishkan, whether it's Bayis Rishon, whether it's Bayis Sheni, whether it's Bayis Shlishi, there are differences between them. Mishkan was a temporary structure, the Beis HaMikdash was fixed, was permanent, and in the three Bati Mikdashas, we just said there are differences. But there are certain similarities that every Mikdash, Mishkan, Mikdash must have and always had and will have. Oisen by Kodesh, the Kodesh HaKadashim, there must be a Kodesh and a Kodesh HaKadashim. The Hiyah Lifnei HaKodesh Makim Echad Nikra Ulam. Before the Kodesh, there's an area which is called the Ulam. Ushloshtan, the three of them together, Nikra and Heichal. These are terminologies to remember for the Hemshech. And then further around, a little bit further out, there were mechitzas. Similar to the midbar, they had the kloim, the curtains all around, and in that there was a chatzar. So similar to that, the Beis HaMikdash had walls, and within that was the chatzar. That area within those outer walls is called the Hazara, the Hakoil, Nikra, Mikdash. So we have Hakoil, meaning everything together, the Hazara and the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKadashim, everything together is called the Mikdash. We have numerous terminologies in this halacha to remember. Kodesh HaKadashim, Kodesh, Ulam, Heichal, then you have Hazara and Mikdash, are 6 terminologies. Kodesh HaKadashim is where the Aron was. The Kodesh is where the other Kelim, the Mizbeach HaPnimi and the Menorah and the Shulchan were. Then you have the Ulam, the entrance before you come into the Kodesh, you have the Ulam. Then you have the terminology Heichal, which is the 3 together, are called the Heichal. The Ulam, the Kodesh, and the Kodesh HaKadashim together are called the Heichal. Then you have Azara, which is the area further outside of the Heichal, within the walls that are further out surrounding the Heichal. And then you have the Mikdash, which is everything together, the Azara and the Heichal, everything together is called the Mikdash. Halacha Vav. Continuing with the commonality between every Beis HaMikdash has to have these things. In the Mikdash, they would make Kalim, they would put into the Mikdash. Mizbeach la'oila for the Sha'ara Karbanis. There was the Mizbeach for animal Karbanis, and also for a Karban Mincha. And there was the Kavesh Sha'oilim Ba'olam Mizbeach. There was the ramp that they would ascend the Mizbeach with that ramp. Where was the location of this Mizbeach that wasn't in the Heichal, it was in the Azara? Lifnei Ulam Mashach Ladarim, Lifnei Ulam, before the Ulam, further east, away from the Ulam, but Mashach Ladarim, a little bit southern, towards the south.
Why does he say La'oila U'Nishar Karbonis? I mean, an oila is included in all the Karbonis.
Often the Torah is called the Mizbeach La'oila. I don't know. La'oila of the Sha'ar Karbonis. Why did it separate them? That's a good question. The Kiyar V'Kanoi, then you have the Kiyar and its base. the Kaddish Mimenu HaKehanim Yedeim V'Ragleim La'Avodah, the Kehanim would use to wash their hands and feet before they would do the Avodah. That also was in the Azara, was not in the Heichal. Between the Mizbeach and the Ulam, Mashach Adarim, even further south. Someone that enters the Mikdash, which is entering from the Mizrach side, that was the main entrance into the Azara. So someone that enters the Mikdash, so south would be on his left. So you had the Mizbeach, and you had even further south, you had but closer to the Ulam, you had the Kiyar. And then you had the Kelim that were inside the Heichal. Mizbeach, the Ketores, Umenorah, the Shulchan, those three Kelim. The Mizbeach that was used for the Ketores, as well as the Menorah and the Shulchan. Ushlashtam b'Seich HaKodesh, Lifnei Kodesh HaKodashim. Those three were in the Kodesh, before the Kodesh HaKodashim. In the Kodesh, that's where those three were placed. Let's do one more halacha. Halacha Zayin. These three Kelim, the Menorah and the Shulchan and the Mizbach HaKteres, which were all in the Kodesh. So where in the Kodesh were they? HaMenorah Badarim Mismoil HaNichnas. The Menorah was to the south, so when you entered from the east, it would be on your left. The Shulchan Miyamin. The Shulchan would be on your right. Shalav Lechem Apanu, upon it was the Lechem Apanu. Ushneim, both of them were deeper into the Kodesh, closer to the Kodesh HaKodashim. Ushneim B'tzad Kodesh HaKodashim Mibachutz. Not in the Kodesh HaKodashim, obviously outside the Kodesh HaKodashim, but it was deeper into the Kodesh, closer to the Kodesh HaKodashim. One on your left and one on your right. The Mizbach HaKteres was closer to the entrance of the Kodesh, was further away from the Kodesh HaKodashim. Mizbach HaKteres Mashach Mibein Shneim Lachutz was further out. Further out means further away from the Kodesh HaKodashim, closer to the entrance of the Kodesh. So when you entered the Kodesh, you would reach the Mizbeach first. If you go further in, then you would reach the other two.
So it was like in the middle?
Yeah. We're going to see later on exactly. Ram tells us exactly later on. That really all three of them, according to the Rambam, were in the further half of the Kodesh. So yeah, we'll see about that later on. Now the Rambam tells us another thing. In the Azara, I was backing out. Now we're not talking about the Kodesh, we're talking about in the Azara. There were gvulin, there were these signs, these little barriers or borders or little different simanim to know till where a Yisrael can go to, and till where Kehanim can go to, etc. And it would say Ad Kan Yisrael, Ad Kan Kehanim. There are different simanim that Yisrael knew till where he can go. As is Yisrael, as is Kehanim, till where Kehanim can go. Ubainim ba batim ishar tzarchei hamikdash. There were also various rooms throughout the Azara. We'll see about it later on, more in detail. That various rooms for various needs of functions of the Mikdash, and kol bayis mehem nikra lishka. Each one of these rooms is called a lishka. To be continued tomorrow.
Good.